Hey, folks. Happy Sunday to you. I've got a cigar I want to share with you guys while I do a podcast here. Um, I've been doing a lot of, let me move my little tripod here, um, doing a lot of things that I'm meditating on, that I've been thinking about, discussions that we've had on threads forever about dozens of things. By the way, this is a La Finca. I'm going to try this brand new cigar. I've never had this cigar before. Handmade. I don't know what the blend is, but it looks nice. We're going to find out how good this cigar is. Nice cut. Regarding educating our customers, I read everything from entomology blogs to PCT magazine to listening to you guys talk about educating our customers. And I am a fanatic. If you listen to me on the podcast about educating my customer, I figure about 80% of what I do is education. My consultative sales strategy is basically education. I inform and educate our customers on what we do, how we do it. I let the marketing bring in the customer, and then I explain what I do for that client and let them decide if this is for them or not. Long ashes to you guys. This is the Blue Chair Chronicles. Why? Because I carry my blue chair everywhere I go, and I usually end up having a cigar. Today I'm pairing it with an iced Cuban latte, Cuban coffee latte, light, because I don't drink a lot of milk anymore. I gave up milk, drinking milk about 3 years ago. I was having all kinds of allergy issues, and I was getting constant colds, and when I got a cold, the cold would last me a couple of weeks clearing up my lungs. I would have a lot of phlegm in my lungs. And talked to a buddy of mine. I was having allergies, and I was having all kinds of respiratory problems. And I talked to one of my clients, and he said, I had the same thing. I was diagnosed that I was actually having problems with dairy. And when I started keto, I gave up milk also because it would mess with my insulin levels. And I was trying to regulate. I'm going into all this science about regulating my insulin levels and insulin resistance and, getting all this fixed in my life. And not to mention the stress wasn't helping because I was super stressed out. So I was getting sick all the time because I was stressed. So I've learned in the last 3 years how to manage all this and dealing with all these issues. But going back to my topic on educating our customers. We read from University of Florida and all these entomology blogs about how we have to educate our customer on what real pest control is. Yet 99 out of 100 calls, I would say 100% of our calls, nobody knows what integrated pest management is. I've never had any customer in the world tell me and explain to me what integrated pest management is, what we do for them, what holistic pest solutions are, what holistic pest management is, what even eco-friendly is. What does it mean to be eco-friendly? What does it mean to date? What my customers are thinking based on my marketing. Understand this, and I'm bringing the customer in on my marketing. And it might sound like a false pretense because we do have natural service. I got 5 100% natural services. Flea and tick is 100% natural. Mosquito is 100% natural. We have 100% natural lawn spray for fleas, ticks, fire ants, and control. What else do we have? Or for shrubs, we have for shrubs, 100% for all shrubs, natural products. The only thing we can't use them indoors, we don't use them indoors for 3 simple reasons. Number one, you're never going to control a German roach population or American roach population infestation in a home with natural. You're never going to control an ant problem because if they're budding or they are tramp ants where they're doing budding and fragmenting, you'll make a mess. So we never use it for that. Third, that people can be allergic, and most people, even when we spray it outside, they say, "Ooh, that's like really strong," and people can have allergic reactions to it. They can have trigger asthma in people. So what they're thinking is we're going to switch out the traditional pyrethroid spray with natural and spray their house with natural. And I got to explain to them what the natural approach is. It's a holistic approach that we have to. Basically, I use baits, and I use a lot of borate baits for most ant problems. And I use 100% baits indoor and borates. I mean, we use for our only liquid application that we make inside ever is Nibor-D. We do a crack and crevice with Nibor-D, especially for silverfish infestations. Most of the time we're using baits. We're using baits in cracks and crevices and voids where nobody touches it, in stations where we can throw it out. So we have an exclusive zero spray service for us here in South Florida. And I got to make that clear. People say, well, that will never work. Well, have you tried it? No, they haven't. We've developed it over 10 years that I've been messing with it to develop a no spray service. We have an exclusive no spray service. And what we explain to them is we're treating it as if it was a hospital room or a surgical, or we're cracking crevice. We haven't cracked and crevice with a synthetic in over 9 years. We've done with nothing but bait. Somebody is chopping a tree down somewhere near. You're going to hear that noise. But, we have to explain to them that if we were in a hospital and there was a patient, how do we solve that problem without baseboard spraying? You would never baseboard spray a hospital. So these are the things that we look at, and how do they get performed in here? We bring that technology into their home. We treat every home if it was a hospital, if it was an SQL facility, if it was an organic facility. We have an organic compliance service. So when we talk about educating our customers, it is educating them when we get the call. We have to explain as a salesperson what our service is. What you're thinking is we're doing bait and switch. We're doing natural, organic. What's more natural than exclusion? What's more natural than trapping? What's more natural than using a borate bait or a reduced risk product to get rid of that problem and then not have to do it again? So when we're talking about natural, it isn't exactly about taking and using and switching to a natural product. It's using the least toxic method with the least hazard and the least risk product with the least hazard and risk process of how we do it. And then so when we talk about educating, I mean, you guys that deal with home inspectors are complaining about how home inspectors don't know anything about bugs or termites, and they're telling the customers they don't have termites when that's not their business. We're trying to educate people on, we're trying to even salespeople that are missing, where they told the customer, hey, you're not having termites. The problem is that there is no mass in the age of information. Nobody has taken it upon themselves to mass educate the consumer before they buy. Nobody has taken the job of really educating. They write a lot of blogs and posts and all these technical articles, but here's the problem. When a customer goes to Google, what they're going to get hit with first are ads, then the 3-pack, then the organic search. And when they're doing organic search, no customer is looking in Google Scholar, where all of this information is. In other words, all of you people are writing for, all of you educators are writing for an industry, you're writing for yourselves, you're writing for your peers, if I may say so, and you're not writing for the consumer because you're saying, well, all people want are, the Twitters and the information, the groups. I am so glad that, Paul Bello put out, Bedbug Tactical and Termite Tactical, where he's doing this on his own, trying to educate consumers with good information. Because even in some of the bedbug groups, you've got all these moms and all these people giving terrible advice. I mean, you got people showing people how to make mustard gas, which is going to kill them. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're mixing stuff and telling people to mix stuff, and they're giving such bad advice. how do we take on this challenge of influencing the masses when nobody wants to be out there because they might make a mistake? What if they get sued? What if they get, whatever happens? And nobody wants to give out information. And what I focused on my podcast and what I'm focusing on my personal channel is that I am going to do this work of educating the end consumer. I've been saying it for a couple of years that we're going to educate. We're taking our podcast mainstream to educate the end consumer, whether it's influencing. I'm trying to influence HVAC people to understand you can't leave those conduits open. A rat's going to get in there. I am going to be on construction blogs and construction groups, educating contractors on pest control. I'm going to be in all different types of groups and home inspector groups. I'm becoming, within the next year, a licensed home inspector. I've been around home improvement my entire life. I know this. I understand that. I got to educate landscapers on proper mowing and trimming, that you're supposed to mow at an X height and you're supposed to mow it with a sharp blade. And educating the masses on dealing with all types of pest control, not just ants and roaches, but rodents and termites and lawn pests. And this is why I am taking the route and the avenue that I've been taking to say that I will be, in the next 10 years, America's pest control coach. I'm making this my personal mission in life. I'm going to use the information, my ability to communicate, my ability to talk, my ability to do podcasts, my not being shy, not being afraid, to educate people on real pest control, making it so much easier for you and me to do business with them, because once they're educated, and we've got several thousand videos out there and podcasts. I am launching 3 new podcasts this year, separate from the Pest Geek podcast, geared to different segments of industries and geared to the general public and geared to help educate people on what real pest control is. Because if you're a spray and pray guy and they've taught you how to baseboard spray, that's fine. That's necessary a lot of the time. However, if that's all you're doing, this has been my problem where people get me misquoted. Where if that's your only strategy, that's where the problem is. It's not that that's not a valid strategy. That is, if that's the only strategy. If you're only doing apartment, every door for $2 to $3, spraying apartments, not dealing with the real issue of the infestation, because your company that you work for, all they do is that. That's where the problem is. So we're dealing with homeowners associations. And I'm going to be in all these groups, and we're going to use the technology that's available to communicate effectively on what it is that real pest control is. So understand that that's where I'm going. I've been saying this. If you followed me for 2 years, I said, we're going to go mainstream. We're going to start taking the podcast after 6 years more mainstream. But what I will do is I will create, this is the Pest Geek podcast for the pest control industry, although I have many other people that are not in this industry listening to me. I will create 3 or 4 more other podcasts that are targeted to specific industry groups. I am also going to start one of the podcasts that I've been wanting to forever, which is a Bible-based podcast. I have a Bible teaching podcast that I do in Spanish. I'm going to be with my buddy who we've worked together, where he's my media, guy right now, doing all of my graphics and doing everything. He's moving into a new role in his life. And we worked together almost 20 years ago into radio and television. And he was behind the scenes. I was in front of the scenes. And what we're doing is he's creating his own teaching academy, which he's doing English. He teaches English. He teaches Spanish people how to speak English. He's done that since he was 18. He's a master at it. He's creating his own program. I had to goad him into for a year to get this done. And then so he's building my academy out after he learns the platform and learns all the bugs in the platform and gets it all out. And he's now setting up my Pest Geek Academy. but we've been talking forever, for over 12 years. We were talking 16 years ago how to start our own business doing recording weddings and doing video and stuff, because we're good at it. We know how to do this. And we never did anything with that, and it wasn't the time. We needed about 10 grand a piece to buy the equipment back then. So we decided we're going to scratch our own itch. We're not going to go and do, he was putting up a media company to do SMB services, doing, the graphic design and doing websites and doing all that for people. I said, bro, you're going to try to sell your mind off to people who don't understand, who are not going to pay you $1,500 a month. You're not a salesperson. You're a tech guy. I'm a salesperson, and I wouldn't even touch that business because it is just too hard. We're going to scratch our own itch. We're going to create our own media company, and we're going to be producing our own stuff. One of the things that I've been talking to him about for over 20 years is, why don't we create a Bible college online for free for people in Central and South America, Latin America, who can't afford to go to college, to Bible college? Why don't we create one? And we've been talking about this forever, and I started it. I started through the Bible teaching ministry over 10 years ago that I have online in Spanish. I've done this. I produce these Bible studies. It takes me a year to go through a book, study it, prepare for it, and then teach it. And so I'm doing that, and we're getting the whole gang back together. He was a professor at the Bible college where he taught the Old Testament major prophets. And we're going to be doing this. We're bringing some of the old teachers back to start this Bible college. These are projects that when I talk about things, understand I didn't just come up with this. This is stuff that I've been discussing and talking about for 10, 15, 20 years that I want to do. These are things, but he's got the technology. We've got the people to do it. We've got the way to now I understand this process of how to streamline. We're going to be producing 5 different podcasts, all targeted at different things. He says, aren't you taking on too much? I said, no, because I believe in a lot of these things. I have the energy to do it. I don't get exhausted from doing this stuff. I can talk all day, and I can teach all day, and I can do this naturally. This is what energizes me to go, to get me up. This is what encourages me doing this kind of work. This is what fires me up, teaching and training people. So I'm going to use both of my talents to do the Bible teaching. I'm creating a new podcast called The Godly Business. We're going to spin off what I've been talking about, the biblical business Sunday, and we're going to be turning it into a full-blown podcast where we're going to be interviewing people who are running Bible-based businesses themselves. They're Christians who believe in the word, and they're running their business according to scripture. And we're going to be interviewing those business people to encourage other people to do the same. We've got one that I've been doing for the Spanish market, an entrepreneur, the Spanish entrepreneur. We're going to be doing those podcasts. We got a nursery podcast that I'm going to be launching about plants, because I love plants, and we do ornamental pest control. And we're going to be interviewing people. You understand that these people all are experts in their field. They're going to be bringing the content. All I got to do is interview them. It's a no-brainer. I don't have to really do a lot of the work. We're going to be doing a DIY pest control podcast for people to understand how to do that. But what we're going to do is we're going to be creating. Look, I've asked a ton of you guys, come on my podcast. I've told you, come and interview so that I can promote you. You won't do it. Why do I do it? Because I know 99% of you aren't going to do stuff like this. And I'm trying to encourage you to be the local expert in your field, the local expert that does, that when somebody Googles or goes on YouTube looking for, and Google now is geo working, where they pop up stuff that is in the area, just like Google Local does. So this is an enormous opportunity. Unlike any other time when I used to direct the television show for our church, we were on a national network, international network, for a Christian network in Spanish. our TV show, the one we used to produce for the church between me and Eric, my buddy, was nominated to go international because we were local, and they say we're wanting to run it and do it international because the quality is so amazing. What they didn't understand and what they didn't know is that the actual camera guys that did this were all the kids in my youth group. I taught them how. These were $20,000 cameras back then. And what we were doing is I taught them how to do. We were running 3 cameras, and I taught them how to do it. And I was I was doing all of the editing in the before it got actually recorded. So I was directing all the cameras and directing everything, and then my buddy would do all the editing afterwards. And this was done between kids between 13 and 16 years old. I have a unique ability to work with young people and work with kids, and I have an enormous amount of patience to teach and train, which is what is needed to do this. So I have these abilities. These are the happiest moments in my life. I have now the experience of how to build a business. I have 25, 30 years of sales experience and business experience. I'm using all of this because I can streamline all of this now. Now it's easy. Once I've done 6 years of podcasting and I learned how to distribute it and how to automate 90% of this process, it becomes very easy once I realize that I have a following and that I can get other people to follow me and do things. I got people who are excited to be on this podcast. I got nurseries that we're going to line up from all over the world to talk about all kinds of neat plants that they have. And it's all going to be sponsored by my company, Nature Pest. So we're branding ourselves as a world leader in the issue of plant healthcare and organics and natural. Why? Because this is where it's going and it's doable. And we're bringing all these experts on board, and we're going to do all these things. And you've been watching me do the things. When I said I was going to go to a 7-day-a-week podcast, I've been wanting to do a 7-day-a-week podcast for 2 years, just didn't have the time because my business was taking so much of my time because I physically had to be there doing the work. And then I had to do the pest control and I had to do the management and I had to wear 5 hats. I don't have to do that anymore. Monday through Friday, I'm just taking calls, doing sales. I'm going to be hiring a salesperson this next year as soon as we get a lot of this marketing off the ground and I have enough business for them. It frees me up to do the things I want to do in life. Why do I want to build a bigger business? Is because it gives me the freedom to pursue all this. It gives me the freedom to do these things. This is why I want to build a business, because I know how to lead. I know how to manage. I know how to create systems and processes for people to follow. We're doing the free consulting. You haven't taken me advantage. Look, if you're not on my podcast, if you're a vendor and you're not on my podcast, shame on you. If you're not a pest control guy, I've been doing the Pest Pro logo, trying to promote logo guys. And you guys won't come on. So if I wait on you to do a lot of these things, I will die. I have to move forward. I have to move ahead. We have to make this happen. I've got 25 years that I can do this still, until I'm 85, 50, 60, 75, I can still do this without a problem. I will have so much experience in the next 10 years that I don't have now. I will have so much other things in the next 10 to 15, 20 years that I don't have. God willing, I don't die and I don't, and I can still do this. So I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at what we can do to help the industry, help the local guy. I already started building a network. We're going to build a network, guys. I already started talking to some guys this week. I said, I'm going to send you. You're in this county. I'm going to send you. I get a lot of calls from that area. I'm going to send you that business. So if you're not communicating with me, if you're not engaging, if you're not doing those things, that's fine. You don't believe me, but you need to watch because you've seen that I've done it and I'm doing it. If you follow me on naturepest.com, if you follow me on NaturePest YouTube, all these things I'm doing, and I'm doing what I say I'm doing. I'm not talking about it like some people who are experts talking about a subject matter that they've never done. I'm actually implementing. I'm actually doing. I'm an operator. I'm not a theorist. I'm not a what some people want to call an influencer. I'm not influencing you. I'm out here doing it, showing you what I'm doing. If you want to follow my lead, follow it. So this is where we're going. This is what we're doing, guys. This is why if we need to educate the public, then we all need to educate the public. But if I'm the only guy doing it, I will get the rewards from that. Understand it. And then you can't go and cry about it later of how you missed the boat. If you missed the boat, that's on you, because the opportunity, like any other time in history, to be a marketer in your county, to be an influencer, to be able to educate insurance people and educate your target market and educate restaurants. I got an idea for you guys. All right, you ready to this? If you're a commercial guy, okay, listen to this. If you're a commercial guy and you want to do restaurants, why don't you start, Restaurant Local Atlanta, and start interviewing all of the business owners and the chefs of that city on a podcast and say, hey man, I want to plug your business. We have a local restaurant and it's sponsored by your company. Brought to you by, and then just sponsor it yourself. And be the restaurant guy who tells everybody, and then you go into the kitchen and you show them how they make the food and create your own, food network locally. Why not? That's the way you would get the business if you wanted to get restaurant business. Do the same thing with supermarkets. Do the same thing with if you want to be the plant guy, go to your local nursery, partner with a nursery and say, hey man, we want to do a podcast together for local plants that are available for my area. And go interview these guys and do maybe 5 plants at one time. They take a 5-minute podcast where he talks. That nursery owner knows more about that plant than you do. Be the little geek of the nerd that hosts the party. Have him talk for 5 minutes and get him to plug his nursery on your podcast. And he's your exclusive guy for all the plants, and do a relationship and say, listen, I'm going to get the business and you're going to get the business because I'm the plant guy. I'm the guy that sprays their plants after you've installed it. You don't do that business. See, there's no conflict of interest, but yet he's an expert on that plant. That's an idea. So start figuring out ways you can use this technology. Partner with a builder and have them take you on site and show you how a house is built. And you talk about all the problems they can have with termites on an empty home, on a construction site, after the house is built. I don't know. Think of something. Be creative. You see, guys, this is unlike, with a phone, a $130 phone, a $39, I think it's a $60 mic, a $25 podcast, tripod, a $5 cigar, and a free cafe latte. I'm sitting here in an $8.95 chair I got from Walmart with a plain wall behind me, and I'm giving you value. And I'm telling you what it is you can do to grow your business. And here you are overthinking about how you have to do this great thing and this, scenery, and how do I edit videos? I don't know how to edit videos, and I don't know how to edit sound. You know what? You go on YouTube and you watch 20 videos for the next 2 hours on how to edit videos. That's how you do it. You see, because anybody teaches you on everything. If you want to change an alternator in your van, chances are somebody did a video with your exact model, the exact year, and shows you how to change that alternator. See, if you want to do a podcast on automotive, go around to the local automotive shops in your city and talk about how great those mechanics are that nobody cares about, and get their pest control business afterwards. For 1 hour's worth of work that it takes, you will earn everybody's loyalty for life. And what is the lifetime value of that client for doing this? Start the local business podcast, how local businesses made it and how they became entrepreneurs, sponsored by your company. And talk to every local business and put them on YouTube. And then all the people in that city can know the story behind that local business. Get freaking creative, guys. Get your head out of the sand. This is not that difficult. It's not that hard. to be to be a guy that interviews people and asks them 5 questions, and you ask the same people the same 5 questions, and you go to their business and you spend an hour and watch how you get a following on YouTube, and everybody in that city is going to see your business plastered on that YouTube channel. And then you create a group, and every week for the local business, and you invite people to come in for the local group and post their business every week. What is your business about? And look, we interviewed them. Well, you want to come on my podcast and talk about your local business? You know how much people love talking about themselves, and especially getting free publicity for businesses? And here you are sitting, how do I get more business? How do I get more business? All these companies, Yelp and all these companies are ripping us off. And it's like you've got a million ideas and you're whining and complaining instead of doing something, because you're afraid, because you don't know, but you're making excuses. Stop making excuses this year. This is the Blue Chair Chronicles. I am Frank the Pest Geek, and I'm wishing you a pistacular day. Enjoy your Sunday, folks. And long ashes to you.